Hey guys, Xoranath here. Have another how to gear and how to specialize video for you guys. Today we're going to take a look at the Light Bear. You love him or you hate him. Either way, he's a very strong unit. Look at this little guy go. Probably one of the top tier units right now. Definitely very meta unit. Yeah, let's get into it here, guys. So for the IVs or PVs here, I think a plus 10 HP would be ideal. Definitely minus attack is good. Plus defense is okay. Focus on the HP if you guys can. In terms of stats, and I say this, I'm gonna say this every time. There are multiple ways to build a lot of these units. I'm gonna tell you my personal preferences. So I like to build a tanky bear. I like to have him very high HP, and I think that's, the number one stat to focus on for him is HP. Number two stat to focus on is resistance, and my personal preference is to stack a lot of resistance on this bear. This one here is 154. Get as much on there as you can. Other stats, attack, you don't want any attack. It doesn't help him at all. It's a dead stat, so minimize the attack on him. Defense is good on him. Get some defense on him to help him be survivable. I don't personally think speed is super important on him. It's just kind of a whatever stat, so I don't focus on it. And here's where I think there is room for different builds here on crit rate and crit damage. You can build Light Bear to be higher crit rate and higher crit damage. I think that works very well for offenses. It is a little bit vulnerable to Dark Joker, but that is certainly a way that you guys can build Bear, and it'll work fine. I don't personally like to build my Bear that way, so I actually have pretty low crit rate and crit damage on him. He's gonna get the buff from the the S2 here, gonna get that plus 30% anyway. So he does decent crits even without it. But I think the way I have him built is using corrupt sets. So usually it's just going to be grinding down the team, and to be honest, you aren't going to really notice the extra crit damage anyway. It's just going to grind it down maybe slightly faster. Up to you guys though. Like I said, if you want to build crit rate and crit damage, go for it. Mine is on HP, and HP. And that is what I would recommend for you guys. You can do HP resistance HP if you want. You're going to sacrifice a little bit of your damage. I think pumping as much HP into him as you can and aiming for high res substats is going to be the way to go for him. But there are some options there. And really just on your gears, just try to avoid having attack. I think I have one gear that has some attack on it that, just has other stats that I wanted. So, this one had some good res on it, that kind of thing. Yeah, so just focus on the HP and res, and most everything else will be fine. Oh, accuracy, I didn't mention it. It is useful for him for his, mainly for his S1 here, to get that defense down. I wouldn't focus on it, but it is helpful on him. Yeah, I have mine on Bash and Corrupt. The idea here is we're trying to grind down some HP, and the Bash will give us some stuns, particularly because, with our passive, you're going to be doing a lot of revenge attacks, and those revenge attacks can then stun. So very, very annoying to fight these. I'm sure you guys run into this type of bear all the time. And this is the build I'd recommend is Bash Corrupt. I could talk about some of the other gears here that are maybe usable, and again, I don't think I'd recommend a lot of pretty much anything different than this. Let's see here. What could be usable on him? You could throw a Zeal set on him if you want to absorb turn 1 attacks. Don't think it's particularly great on him. Mortal is just going to be for stalling and being very annoying. Life could be reasonable if you stack a bunch of life and get like super crazy high HP. If you can get up to like 40,000 HP, that could be actually probably pretty usable. 2 life sets and a corrupt set could be workable. Reflect could be something to consider if you have some really good reflect runes. A lot of these other ones, maybe Endure would be one that you could think about for a 2 set. A lot of these other ones I don't think I would run on Light Bear. And let's talk about the specialization tree for him. So we have the choice of tank and core. I don't think the core tree is actually very good for like pretty much any units. I definitely recommend tank on at least on light bear here. For the first row, 100% take strong. Again, you know, base HP, very, very good. And then I recommend taking the base defense here for the second, for your second 5. You can, if you want that extra resistance, take it, but base stats are super strong, so I think this will help you guys be more survivable. I skipped the second row, and then in the third row, I do 2 points in Indomitable, so when you're less than half HP, you're going to have extra effect resistance, and then Tenacity, so whenever you're under inability effects, you're going to have even more effect resistance. So just really trying to make him hard to land debuffs on. And that's also the 5 points just to get us into the next row, which I do have Steadfast. So again, I think this is a very powerful specialization. No matter how high the effect accuracy is, you're going to be able to resist at least 10% resistance. So again, if they have 1,000 accuracy, 1 out of 10 times, you know, you should be resisting just from this. So, you know, super strong. And then I think there's some options here for this last row, and I went back and forth. I am going with right now with Survival Instinct. So when you're below half, you're going to get even less crit damage, and then when allies die, you're going to increase your max HP and the defense. I think it's perfectly usable to come over to Fortress, and you know, if you're using this just to tank dark units, this is certainly a reasonable skill to take. You're going to take less damage from dark units, and then I think this is a really good one. This is one I wish if I have more points. This is one that I think is really good for him, because you're going to get that extra 5% max HP at the start of battle. Super strong. It's kind of like you get the HP right away with Indestructible, and then you have to wait a little bit, but you can end up getting more of Last Stand. I think those are, you know, it's really up to your playstyle and how you're using the bear. I think those are good. And I will talk through some of these other grayed out ones. Pachyderm, I think this is a reasonable one if you guys opt for 3 points here to get the effective defense down, because that's, you know, once your bear has defense down on it, they're going to be able to do a lot more damage to it. So I think that's reasonable. We don't have unless you guys are running it with a shield unit specifically. I think this is more for specific use cases. I don't recommend it. Effective defense, it's the same thing for this. Like if you're running it with a defense booster, like in a specific comp, this could make sense, but otherwise just generally, I don't think this is one that makes a whole lot of sense other than specific cases. Adapt, every time you get a debuff, speed increases. I don't think speed is, you know, super important on light bear. I mean, you could try to run a super fast bear. I mean, he's gonna get faster from this, so this could be fun for like a gimmicky surprise bear, but just in general, probably not. And what do we have over Vanguard? So this is really to help your first couple turns, and I think light bear does pretty good on the first couple turns, so I don't think he particularly needs Vanguard. And he's not really a unit we're focusing defense on. Crush could be okay. But you know, compared to what you have to sacrifice for, like, I definitely think either the Indestructible or Last Stand are a lot better than Crush, particularly for him. So yeah, and so that kind of explains why I'm in the, you know, the ones that I have here. So there you guys go. That's how I recommend you guys build light bear. You know, let me know down in the comments, are you one of the people that like to do high crit rate, crit damage? How's that working out for you? Is it something you guys recommend? Yeah, and with that, you know, definitely feel free to put down in the comments if you guys have specific units you want me to cover. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through and talk about units that I like or just feel like talking about, but happy to take suggestions on what units to cover. And with that, you know, just thank you guys again so much for watching. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you guys haven't, and we will see you in the next one.